Get rid of this. Welcome, welcome, guys. It is Thursday morning, and we are ready to go. Right, let's just go through a little bit of the data from yesterday, just to obviously set everything up, make sure everybody is you know understanding obviously what is happening, where, why, how. So right. Yesterday, we had a very, very uneventful CPI data. I don't know why I couldn't get that out this morning. So everything was pretty much on point, apart from core, which was a little bit lower. Now, yes, previous was zero point 0.4, actual was zero point 0.2. So inflation actually, due to CPI data cooling slightly, right? That gives the Federal Reserve a little bit of a breather, all right, but it doesn't really give us, anything here. Canada kept interest rates the same, which is also interesting. So I'm expecting this trend to kind of follow. That was the interesting one for me. So we've got obviously a few things happening, and I do think this is why macros are brilliant. All right, because we can really start to kind of build our picture of what is happening. Because I mean, I flick through a few. I've got a few groups on my phone, and everyone's going escalation gold up. Right, don't do that. Okay, that's like normally, yes, if it was Russia, Ukraine, or whatever, blah blah, I'd say yes, gold up, higher, bang. Inflation worries, yeah, bang, higher. But obviously, right now, no, that is obviously not what is happening. So, the kind of picture we're building and how you can use different news, from obviously currencies that we don't even trade or that I don't trade. Canada is. I've mentioned this over and over again. Canada are always one of the leaders. They were the first economy to recover from COVID. So I like to keep a little bit of an eye because it's a tiny bit of an indicator as to what everyone else is going to do. Now, if the US don't raise interest rates because obviously they don't have to. Their currency is flying high, so obviously that's one thing that they don't have to worry about protecting. But obviously, it'll be interesting to see. Now, inflation is cooling slightly. It's getting better, which means obviously there's less worry. But that doesn't mean that anyone is gonna kind of start cutting interest rates. All right. Yes, if this war is over, which it doesn't look like, it's every time it looks like it's going to end, like something else happens, boom. And obviously all we're looking at really is, social media or, news outlets. And it is very, very heavily based on attacking Iran. Now, I don't think we're ever going to hear this, full picture because Donald Trump has come out and said that they're still in negotiations, but there's bombs cut. It's just horrible. So one thing that I would say to everyone is make sure you trade safe this morning. It's not a day to attack. It's not a day to triple your account, double your account. It's a day to kind of take what we can. I think we've done really, really well so far this week. If I look at this week, pretty good, 100%, 87.5%, 100%. So yesterday was clean. All right. It was really clean. We had USD JPY and gold. Actually, if I kind of wish I hadn't cancelled the triggers on euro and pound because obviously they were they obviously went on and obviously hit TP1. So, but it is what it is. So I'm pretty happy with this week so far, considering everything that's happening. So that's now we've kind of painted a bit of that picture. All right. Let's now go on today. All right. What is happening? We've got an interest rate decision for euro. I'm expecting them to raise interest rates. That's why I might stay away from euro today. They're predicted to raise interest rates. Euro and Japan are always on point. That's why they're pretty. Well, whatever they're kind of saying on their economic calendar, that's normally what they do. Pound and The dollar tend to be a bit all over the place. Dollar probably more than anyone. I don't know why they just don't seem to get it right. Whereas euro and yen seem to be on point. Yen are 99% on point. So let's kind of wait and see what happens here. Obviously they are going to raise their interest rates. Euro kind of has to. It's been hurt uh, quite a bit all over the place, especially as it's, indirectly correlated with the dollar. It's obviously trending, a little bit lower than everything else. We've also got jobs data, all right, and we've got PPI. So, lots of good data coming out later on, 1:30. But obviously, we've always got imagine right now you've got a cloud, all right, and this cloud is the obviously economic data which is coming out, and it's either good or bad for the currency. In regards to the US dollar, all right, there's this big black cloud here, which is this the war. Are they going to escalate? Are they going to agree? Are they going to de-escalate? So there's two clouds there, all right, and obviously dollar at the moment kind of the data, you got good data, all right, but then you've also got this kind of big cloud here, which we've got to kind of guess what is gonna happen. And right now we're hanging on a thread in regards to a tweet or in regards to some kind of speech which comes out, and it can come out at any time. So it's always better to err on the side of caution. So I would say the data coming out of the US is pretty comfortable. It's pretty happy. Good non-farm payroll, cooling inflation. But you've also got to then look at, Jerome Powell, who's obviously head, his personality. All right, he's not aggressive, all right, at all. He likes to, let things pan out slowly. I don't think that's a bad thing, but obviously, so I cannot see him reducing interest rates, and obviously we can use this as an inclination as to what is going to happen. So we've got CAD who've kept interest rates where they are. Euro potentially going to increase interest rates. Well, everyone's going to follow. No one goes out on their own. All right. Everyone kind of follows because remember, everyone is trading with everybody else. Think back to say middle of last year where Trump was getting all this hate for all these trade deals and tariffs and everything. Everyone's trading with everybody else. US, they trade with Europe. They trade, Japan trades with, everyone is trading with everyone. So you got to imagine everyone's got to have a similar economy because otherwise, if everything's really imbalanced, then, it's going to be too expensive, for everyone to trade. So looking at that in a picture, I can't see a worry about the US reducing interest rates. All right, so that's painting a picture. Number one. So we're then looking at right. Well, if US is strong, all right, in regards to their good data, and then if there's escalation, all right, which is the bad data, which we know, you can have negative things happen, and it will strengthen the dollar because everyone trades in the dollar. Oil is bought in the dollar, gold is priced in the dollar. So all these big assets, if the price of them goes up, then naturally the US dollar is going to go up. So that's about what we're kind of looking at today. That's why I'd stayed away from Euro this morning, and I'm quite keen to see obviously what's going to happen at 1:30. But we are based all on the escalation here. All right, now USDJPY. We've obviously not taken this. Let's sorry, skip that. All right, we'll go back to the dollar. All right. Dollar is currently comfortably holding, this area here. I don't think there's any, real like, negative kind of data which is going to push it down. Yes, if an agreement gets, signed, I do think that dollar. I don't think it's going to plummet, but I think it'll be back trading, in between 99,500 and 99. I'd be surprised if it goes below, but who knows, right? We've then got obviously, yields still trading in this danger, zone here. I can actually move these out. Remember the traffic light system I did a couple of weeks ago on the, live, still trading in this danger zone holding, so yields trading high keeps the dollar up, all right? Imagine yields is the big money coming into the US dollar, all right? Yields trading higher naturally drags the dollar up. So that's those two. Let's have a look at stock markets now. All right, stocks are starting to drop slightly. If we look at this on a daily, we obviously have been and still would categorize this as trading at all-time highs. All right, SPX 500 all-time high, US 100 all-time high. Remember obviously what goes up must come down. But yeah, it's incredible. But if you actually break stock markets down, what are all the companies priced in? Dollars, all right? Naturally, if the dollar is worth more across the, globally, the price of the company is going to be worth more. So that's, why everything's kind of trading high. Yeah, yes, obviously we've got the AI, sector, which is pr popping it up 100%, but it's still pumping, and I can't see this AI bubble bursting, because we're kind of only touching the, surface, so yeah, stocks kind of, still in a bit of a place. I would expect them to be trading down here if the dollar wasn't strong, but it is, right? So let's go through some of our pairs. I think USD JPY is the most interesting. All right, currently trending higher, higher, higher. We caught a good trade on this yesterday. However, if I go back to the 2 hour here, I've marked this, zone out here. All right, and obviously it's this zone here. That was when the last kind of intervention come in. We drove up, all right, broke out, one more drive up, and then obviously we saw all of this selling pressure, so I'm kind of expecting something to happen again, so that's what I'm kind of expecting, is something like this to kind of happen again, where we're currently, if I get back to my screen, we are, oh, July. Where's everything gone? February, there we go. Right, so I'm expecting we're almost there. Bear with me. There we go. Right. So I'm expecting a drive up, which we're already in this kind of area here. Potentially a drive up higher. But then, similar thing happening. I don't think Japan can, let their currency go, or stay at this level for too long. So obviously there will be some kind of an intervention. I thought we might have had it yesterday. But yeah, we obviously kept on driving, and that is because of the, strength of the US dollar at the moment and the escalation too. So going on to the next one, Aussie, we've obviously looking to hopefully get a trigger on this one here. Everyone can see here that I work off trend and macros. All right, so trend you cannot argue. All right, this is trending to the downside. All right, macros you got to kind of go with the US dollar right now. For anyone who actually understands that oil is the main driver, all back trading. Still above 90. That's obviously our kind of danger zone on oil is above 90. All right. Yeah, because oil's a bit expensive, right? We need oil really below 80. All right. That's where we need oil. As soon as a de-escalation happens, we will see oil below that 80, level there. We need the Strait of Hormuz open, clear, and then it's going to flood the markets back with Iranian oil. So that's kind of what we want to, happen. Now, so yeah, Aussie happy, not really pushing it this morning. We've had a really great start, and I don't really want to push it that much harder that we, sort of, yeah, bite off more than we can chew. Pound, similar thing. If I go on here on a 15-minute, looking for, yeah, just to come into this area of liquidity here. We've obviously struggled to break through this, multiple times. Even when we did, we broke straight back below. So that's what I'm expecting. Just coming up into this, zone. We've obviously got three entries, and then, potentially tailing off. Notice I'm not pushing it this morning. I've got nice, tight stops in, nice tight TPs in too. So yeah, I'm not overly pushing it that hard. Euro staying away from, naturally because we've obviously got an interest rate decision that they are going to raise interest rates, and that should strengthen euro slightly. Gold is one that I'm hoping. We had a really, really good gold trade yesterday. I think we caught this one here. No, that was that one. It was this move here. Brilliant. We were buying here, expecting trend. Sometimes you can counter trend, because you got to understand that price, needs to come up to grab more liquidity to then push, down. And you've got to understand as well that all these guys who have been, selling from here are going to be taking some profits off the table at different times, So once, some profits get taken, we get a little push up, and then obviously more entries come in. Profits get taken, little push up, more profits come in. Profits get taken, little push up, same thing. Profits get taken, little push up. So that's obviously what I'm expecting is, to trigger more, sellers here. I can't see gold pumping up much higher than, this, but we'll wait and see. But again, I've kept stops, nice and small, and so we don't obviously have to worry too much. But that is basically what I'm looking at this morning. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions at all? Happy to answer. But yeah, today is one of those days where just don't push it, all right? Because yeah, like I put in a group, there's an 80% chance of escalation right now. So it's pretty scary times, So do you think dollar can break 102.50, Alex? 102.50. Wow. Well, that's pretty high up. But you've got to look at previous history. Of course it can. Dollar in January 25 was trading at 110, So it is, yes, of course it can. Trump obviously wants, as president, he really wants the dollar to be high, because naturally it's more expensive for everyone. Do you think gold will drop further than it has? It could. Everyone's been, so sold on gold, trending higher all the time until we get some kind of agreement, and this war is over. Gold is always going to be, struggling. I think, if we're looking at on a daily here, probably the next we've got two kind of levels here. We've got one here, and then we've got one here. All right. I don't know if it can drop much further, but we've obviously already hit that zone number one. But do I think it can come down to below 4,000? Yes. But then do I think by the end of the year it could be trading back up here? Yes. So it's pretty hard. Trading's not easy, right now. And obviously, if you are in your first kind of year of trading, I appreciate it's gonna put you off. Gold looks like we're about to trigger here. It's gonna put you off because it's really hard. But you know what? We've just got to roll with what's happening. And then hopefully, we can obviously, come through. You guys know there are easy times. I think we had it not June, yeah, June. I think we had it back in like November and October were really easy. They were really easy. I had some record days here. And obviously, when it's nice and easy, reading macros, it's a dream, because it does make it easy. So, but I think what's really good about trading at the moment is yes, you've got those guys who go all in, gambling, whatever, but actually, if you look at trading in, cycles or a job, if you're in, sales, you're gonna know that, what, if I'm selling, I don't know, if I'm selling hot tubs, potentially you're gonna have a better month, maybe June, you know, May, June, July than you would in December. I mean, I used to be in the construction industry, and I used to know that. Do you know what? August was our quiet month because all our clients were obviously on holiday, but then Christmas was brilliant. November, December was brilliant because everyone's got family coming over and they want to redo a bathroom or redecorate this or redo their kitchen or build an extension. All these things happen. So there's trading's no different. All right, there's going to be times where it's a bit nicer, and I always find. Normally March, April are good months, and normally, yeah, September, October, November, good months. December's slow, August is, slow. But obviously, right, now we've obviously got uncertain times, I know lots of full-time traders who will take, particular months off, so they won't trade for a month, they'll take it off. But yeah. Um, Alex, when you look back in time, was it ever more difficult to trade than now? No. This has been the trickiest time. I mean, COVID was easy because, you're obviously just buying safe havens, and crypto because COVID, everyone was at home trading crypto. Russia, Ukraine, just buy gold, easy. But this has been the trickiest one, 100%. Uh, Trickiest one that I've traded. That definitely. We've obviously had random days. Like I remember, gold was absolutely flying when Trump was not inaugurated, but when he won the presidential election, and gold just tanked, like absolutely tanked from nowhere. So yeah, lots of obviously people got caught from that one. But no, I think that it's yeah, now is hard, but I think it's also a good thing because if you're, if you can get through this bit, like it won't ever be harder. So and there are times like you guys, some of you have been in here ages, and obviously as long as we know the strength of the dollar. There's no hype news. There's nothing that can be tweeted. Like no surprises. Um, it's relatively easy, because if you understand all we're doing when we're entering a trade, we're painting a picture. All right, and if you think about if we know what's happening with the dollar, all right, then most of our picture's been painted. We're just obviously adding final touches on. So that's how you should be looking at it. But yeah, right. I hope everyone has a great day. I hope you've enjoyed this. Um, you know, and yeah, let's smash it. Have a good one, team.